iPhone 16e is not a good phone. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet, and I can already tell you that because the iPhone 16e is a symptom of a much larger problem. This isn't just about the iPhone itself, but about how Apple is handling its product strategy and its pricing. And the thing is, on its face, the iPhone 16e has a lot of potential. I actually really like the way that this thing looks. The frosted back glass, the single camera, it is super clean and minimal, and honestly, kind of a successful design in my opinion. The problem is Apple is adding a lot of complexity and unnecessary confusion in a sector of the market that doesn't really need it. Because for $600, you could get an iPhone 16e. $200 more gets you a regular 16, but even more problematic than that is at $600, you already have a bunch of really good options. You can find iPhone 15s on discounts all day long, and you can even get refurbished iPhone 15 Pros, which gives you ProMotion, 2 additional cameras, Dynamic Island, maintains the features like Apple Intelligence, the action button. Like, this is just a better value and they're the same price. People love to point out that the iPhone 16e isn't really for people that care about features. They just want the cheapest working new iPhone. And that might be true, but the problem is a lot of those people are gonna find themselves losing features. If you're coming from an iPhone 12, you're gonna be missing an ultra-wide camera. You're gonna be missing MagSafe. A lot of people probably don't even know that they have MagSafe. They just will find that their accessories are no longer working with this phone. And all of that was fine with the iPhone SE because it was a $400 phone and it came out in 2020 when most people were upgrading from older phones that looked a lot like this. But now that most people have newer phones with ultra-wide cameras and MagSafe, this doesn't feel like an upgrade. But besides the confusing pricing structure and feature set of the 16e, this thing is emblematic of a much larger problem in my opinion, and that is Apple's loss of passion. Let me explain what I mean right after a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by ESR. Their new cases for iPhone 16e offer the best in design and protection. CyberTough cases are the ultimate shield, encasing your phone in a groundbreaking 3-layer design with a hard outer shell, a soft inner layer, and a protective lining. This delivers an astounding 7 times military-grade protection, withstanding drops from up to 23 feet. Additionally, with a 1.7mm raised screen edge and 2.4mm camera guard, these sensitive components are always protected. Super strong magnets offer 1,500 grams of locking power, bringing MagSafe compatibility to the 16e. ESR also offers their effortless Halo Lock Classic case, with a slim and elegant design and 11 feet of drop protection, all while maintaining a 1.2mm screen edge and a 0.7mm camera guard for ultimate protection. And complementing these awesome cases, the UltraFit ArmorRite screen protector comes with a simple 2-step applicator that ensures effortless alignment for dust and bubble-free flawless protection. So set your iPhone 16e up with ultimate protection by checking out the link in the description below. And now let's get back to the video. So what do I mean when I say that the iPhone 16e represents Apple's loss of passion? Well, the 16e is the latest in a string of products that feel like they were designed by a committee that was analyzing spreadsheets, not a design team. Things like the iPad mini or the AirPods Max with USB-C update, or even frankly, the iPhone 16 Pro, all of these devices feel like they were created to perfectly optimize for the exact minimum amount of features that would yield the most amount of sales and profit. And look, I get that that's how a business operates, but it's not how Apple has traditionally operated. And I'm not trying to clutch my pearls here and say, oh, Steve Jobs was better, because this was true under Tim Cook as well. But if you go back just a couple of years, you'll find that the vibes are off. And I think the 16e perfectly exemplifies that. I mean, when the iPod Shuffle came out in 2005, Apple still put their all into the marketing campaign. And look, that product was basically just flash storage with buttons and a headphone jack. It was nothing special, but Apple treated it like it was. They talked about it like it was revolutionary, and they positioned it in such a way that it made it feel desirable. And that's happened in the iPhone days as well. When the iPhone 5S came out in 2013, Apple, rather than keeping the iPhone 5 at a discounted price, came out with the iPhone 5C, which was literally just an iPhone 5 with a plastic case. But the way that phone was marketed made it feel like more than that. They gave it fun colors with special cases to provide interesting and unique color combinations. They made that phone feel special, even though all it was a cheaper housing so they could sell it at a lower price. And at its core, that's theoretically not far off from the iPhone 16e recipe. Take an iPhone 14, give it USB-C and an action button, the internals of an iPhone 16, and remove one of the cameras to lower the cost. That's it. But Apple hasn't made this phone feel special. Part of that is because it's not really clear who it's for, but part of that is just the attitude that Apple takes towards it. Take, for example, the 4th generation iPod Nano. On its face, it wasn't a particularly groundbreaking upgrade, but they had this really cool ad campaign with paint colors dripping out of the new color options for the iPod, and that was accompanied with billboards and murals on the side of buildings, and it just made the thing feel a lot more special. And look, that still happens from time to time. There was a shot from the iPhone 15's reveal that was turned into a billboard campaign called Snaptacular, and I think this was really successful, highlighting an iconic design feature of the phone. But I think one key aspect of this is that the iPhone 16e feels a little bit aimless. A common thread in some of the really iconic Apple products and campaigns over the last 20 years is simplicity. The products themselves might be highly advanced or completely different from something that came before it, but the ads and the way that they presented to the public just said, you want this. But contrast that with the ad that Apple just dropped for the iPhone 16e. Well, it's very confusing. We've got this blue car dealership waving guy, and he's holding the iPhone 16, and there's the new Selena Gomez song playing, and it shows a couple of shots where the iPhone looks nice. It just doesn't hit the same way. I genuinely struggle to put my finger on what it is exactly, but I think at its core, there's just a sense of like, well, why do we need this? There's just so many iPhones out there and they're all so similar that there's nothing that really makes any of them stand out from the rest. So what would compel you to pick the iPhone 16e over an iPhone 14 or 15 or 15 Pro or 16? Well, I guess it would make sense if you want good battery life but don't care about a dynamic island or the ultra-wide camera, but you want Apple Intelligence but you don't need the camera control, and you do want the action button and not a mute switch and USB-C and not Lightning. So if that's you, then boy, does Apple have the perfect phone for you. One of the big questions that I've seen people try to answer is who is actually buying this phone? Who is this made for? And I think the answer is there's a couple of different groups that would be interested in this. The first one is the absolutely lowest engaged phone buyers, people who just want to walk into an Apple store and say, give me the cheapest phone that has good battery life because my phone is old. But beyond that, I could see it being useful for students, for elderly parents or grandparents, and it will probably be bought by a lot of corporate IT departments and government agencies to be given out to employees. That is what this phone is for. And that's not inherently a problem. It's just kind of not really what Apple has been about. The whole point of this video and highlighting all of those different products and advertising campaigns that Apple has done is to demonstrate that even when they're making a product that is designed to cut costs and meet a budget, they still put in the effort to make it an interesting product. The 16e is a perfectly reasonable iPhone experience. It has the same display as an iPhone 13 or 14. It has better battery life than all of the regular non-Pro iPhones apparently, and the new C1 modem is a really interesting piece of tech that I can't wait to see come to other phones. But outside of that, it brings nothing new, nothing interesting to the conversation. And I think that inherently limits how much people could possibly care about it. I was surprised, frankly, when I made my video ranting about the 16E when it was announced. That got almost 200,000 views in a couple of days. And I think it's because a lot of people saw that announcement and were just completely bewildered. Why would they make a phone like this and completely give up on the entire budget phone market? Because the thing is, I don't actually think that the 16E is a bad phone necessarily. And I think that if you want to design a phone with a committee looking at spreadsheets, you can still make something that people would want to buy. The thing is, the mix of features here just doesn't check out to me. If it were me running Apple, what I would have done is forego the new modem, forego the larger battery, keep MagSafe, number one, and then just cut costs as much as possible to get this thing down to $499. I'd even ship this thing with 64 gigs of storage if I had to, because $499 is a great price point. But $599, it just blends in with all of the nonsense. There's a bazillion Android phones and mid-range blah smartphones in this category, and Apple didn't do anything to stand out from them because they couldn't. If they made this phone too good, people wouldn't buy the 16. So they had to make this bad on purpose. I'm getting a little out of hand here. I'm sorry if the end of this video has turned into a bit of a rant, but I really just think that Apple can do better. We know that they're capable of it, and they're choosing not to. So I hope that this will be a wake-up call. I suspect it probably won't, and I suspect the 16E is actually going to sell quite well, but that's only because people don't pay attention, and Apple is kind of taking advantage of the fact that nobody knows what phone they're buying. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video useful. It's hard to imagine. It was mainly just a rambling rant, but anyway, if you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.